Alright, welcome back. And now we are ready to insert some video transitions and try finalizing what we have done so far. So I will zoom in to the first picture, and if I play it, you see that there is no fading in effect. Only the titles have some animations, but I also want some fading in happening for this image. So I can just grab this notch at the beginning and move it, and this basically implements a fade in from black. So you can see it starts from black and it nicely fades in to this picture. It's as simple as that, just moving this notch inside. Similarly, at this transition, I want this image to also fade out to black before moving on for the next image. So you see this clip also starts in the dark, so I think it's nice to have a fade out to black for this first image. And let me turn off the snapping. Now you can clearly see the fading in effect in the start and fading out effect in the end, and then nicely transitioning to the next clip. So that was the transition for the first image. Similarly, we can apply some fade out for the last image, and it's as simple as just grabbing this notch and moving it inwards. You can see that basically as soon as this title settles down to its final position, the background image starts fading out. So animations have been implemented for these pictures. Now let's apply some transitions to the video clips. You see this is quite a hard edge or hard transition. So let's try to replace it with something more gradual. So I'll go to the video transitions, and there are many nice transitions here. Some are a little bit flashy, but some are pretty nice also. So these are the dissolve type transitions, then these are the iris, motion, shape, wipe, and many others. But I personally like these dissolve transitions. So first let's bring this dissolve transition and drop it here, and you can see that this is pretty nice, but this is taking quite a long time, so let's try to squeeze it. And now if we preview it, this is nice. We can use a variety of these transitions. So let's for the next one, I think blur dissolve would be good. So it basically blurs before transitioning to the next clip. Pretty nice. Then for the next one, we can apply maybe additive dissolve. These transitions, I can basically put them, if I select it and delete it, I can place it on the end of one clip or the start of the next clip or at their junction. But I like this transition right at the junction itself. Creates a better effect. This one, I don't think it will look nice. So dip to color dissolve. Let's try that. Or even we can replace it with blur dissolve, I think. So preview it. This is good. Non-additive dissolve. then another blur dissolve. So in this way I can replace all these hard junctions with some nice transitions. And I will fast forward this part because there's not much learning going on here. You have already seen how I am deciding which junctions get which kind of transitions. So I'll fast forward this part. So I'm done with replacing all these hard edges at these junctions with some nice video transitions, and most of these I use these different types of the dissolve kind of transition. And let's have a short preview to see what it looks like. Okay, that's looking good. And I think there is some camera shakiness going on in some of the clips, so we will need to do some stabilization. Like you see. So we will need to add some stabilization. So for that, I will need to zoom into the timeline, and we will go to the color tab where we have the stabilization tool. And here you see there is an option window, and right next to that there is a drop down menu, and there is a stabilizer option here. So let me choose this stabilizer option. Let's apply stabilization to all of these shots. So first I will select one of these shots, press the stabilize button, and it will basically analyze how much shakiness or how much movement camera is going through. And based on that, it creates a map. So first it analyzes the clip and it comes up with a map showing how much movement of camera this shot is going through, and then it tries to compensate for that. Then I can select the second one, press this stabilize option, it is analyzing it. So I'm just running a simple stabilization algorithm on all of these shots. I'm not doing any complicated tweaking of stabilization variables, just doing a normal analysis of these clips and the default stabilizer for Davinci without using any tweaking of the variables. And you can see that here there's a lot of camera movement towards the end of the clip, but here in this clip there is not much camera movement going on. So by looking at how zigzag these lines look like, you can tell how much movement of camera there is in this clip. And now if I play one of these shots, so you will see that much of the camera movement has been compensated by using the default stabilizer, and I think that is good enough for this particular combination of clips. Let's play it. So you can see that initially there was a lot of movement in this camera, but much of that has been compensated. Alright, so I have applied stabilization to all these clips, and you can tell that by looking at this yellow icon at the bottom of each clip. So this basically shows that the stabilization has been done to that clip. You see, this was just an image, so no stabilization has been done, so hence no yellow icon here. But under all the video icons, I applied video stabilization. So under all the video clips, you can see these yellow icons. Similarly, if we go to the edit workspace, just by looking at the timeline, we can tell for the most part what major effects have been applied to them. So first of all, you see this speedometer icon shows that the speed has been adjusted for this clip. For this image, we have adjusted its speed so that it's lasting for 6-7 seconds. Then where these 3 clips, there are some speed adjustments going on with them, and with this one as well. Similarly, whenever there are some keyframes applied to a clip, you will see this kind of diamond icon, and if you click that, you can further look at the details of this clip. If you zoom in, you can look at where exactly the keyframes are being applied and what kind of keyframe. So this is a transform keyframe. That means there was some zooming in happening. So that is how you can tell by looking at the timeline to see what kind of effects have been applied to different clips. So let's have a final look to see whether every effect we wanted has been applied or not. So you can see there is some fade in applied to the music. I can further decrease this fade in to change it from a linear fade in to a non-linear fade in by moving this point downwards. Similarly, we have a similar kind of fade out happening at the end. Then these images are fading out. There is no fade in required here. There is fading in and fading out being applied to this image. Some animations have already been applied to the starting titles and the ending title. Then all the junctions, the hard junctions, have been replaced with transitions. So all the effects that we wanted, whether they were audio effects or video effects, all of them have been applied. And now we are good to go to the Deliver tab or Deliver workspace. So this is the Deliver workspace where you see all our clips starting from the first clip all the way to the 16th clip. All of them are positioned in sequence with the tracking applied to all the video clips. Then there is our timeline with all the edits already applied to each of these clips. Here is the preview if we want to look at the preview again. And this is the render job. So right now there are no jobs in queue because we haven't added any job to this queue. Okay, so let's see what kind of options do we have in terms of rendering. So on the top there are some presets, like if you want to publish it to YouTube or Vimeo, etc. But we just want to give it a custom location because we just want to save it on the computer. So I will give it the address of my desktop. Then here it can produce individual videos or individual video clips from each of these video clips but we just want to render it to a single clip. So of course we want video, and here are some export options. So the format, QuickTime is fine, codec, Apple, ProRes 422 HQ, that is fine. Similarly, the resolution, I would like 1920 by 1080 HD. Okay, so 1920 by 1080 HD, and frame rate is okay, 23.976. Don't need to go to advanced settings or subtitle settings. There are no subtitles. With these settings, we can add this job to the render queue. So right now this is empty, but when I press it, you can see this job is added here. And now with these settings, I can press this button to start rendering it. So it starts rendering, and here is the progress. There is only one job, and right now it has been processed 1%, 8.42 minutes remaining. So I will fast forward this part. Alright, so the video has been rendered, and here is the final video. This is 46 seconds and it's around 1 gigabyte. So you can look at this travel montage closely and try to emulate whatever we did in that, and that will give you a chance to practice all the editing tools we have learned in this course. So that's it, and I hope you enjoyed this course and learned many useful editing techniques. Thanks for watching. Hi there, welcome to another section of this course, and now let's have some fun. So in this lesson, we are going to learn how to do green screen compositing with Davinci Resolve. And this method is going to work whether you are using the version 12.5, 14 or 15. The only difference is that for the later versions, the tools have gone better and more accurate. And actually, this is one of my favorite things to do in Davinci Resolve. So let's get into it. So here we have a video of a dog in front of a green screen. But you can have anything happening in front of the green screen, and we are going to learn how to give it a custom background. So here is the actual footage of the dog, and let's see how well we can get rid of this green background. And we will do that in the color workspace using nodes. So this will also give you some further information about the working of these nodes. But first of all, we need to bring our footage and the background picture into timeline. So this is the footage of the dog, and this is one background, and I'm just going to have fun with this video, so I'm going to use two different backgrounds one by one. So this is one background. I will bring it to the timeline, and then this is another background placed back to back, and on top I will bring this video. And this is a pretty long video, so let's choose an appropriate portion of this video where there is some movement going on. So I will cut it here using Command B on a Mac or Control B on Windows. Delete the unwanted portion, and let's also cut it here using Command B again. Delete the unwanted portion here and bring it here. So here are these background pictures, and video is sitting on the top. And here, keep in mind that the background picture or video needs to be in the bottom layer and stack the green screen footage on the top. That way, when we get rid of the green color in the foreground layer and make it transparent, that way, when we get rid of the green color in the foreground layer and make it transparent, the background layer can shine through. If you arrange these layers the other way around, it is not going to work. So do keep that in mind. So basically what we are going to do is we are going to make these green areas transparent, and under this footage lies our background picture. So when this green area in the footage becomes transparent, we can see the background in this. So that is what the green screening is about. And since we are going to do that in the color workspace, so let's go to the color workspace, and here you see there is one node already here. Now we need to tell Davinci Resolve that we need some transparency. So to do that, right click in this area and click this add alpha output. And this is going to add this blue little dot in this region, in the output region. Now this is the alpha channel and we can connect it to the alpha output. So now we can go ahead with the green screening. I will zoom out on this picture by pressing Command minus on Mac or Control minus on Windows. Now there are two ways to do green screening. One is to use this HSL, use saturation and luminance to create a mask by clicking in this green area to pick the full range of these green colors. So if you have a very well lit background like this one where you have just a single shade of green color, that is going to be easier to use. But in this one, we have slightly different shades of green. You see here it is lighter, here it is kind of darker, here we have textures and so on. So in this situation, I would actually prefer to, instead of using HSL, I would prefer going to the 3D qualifier. And now we have to draw lines in this green area to tell Davinci Resolve that these green regions we want to get rid of. So I will pick this, and now we can draw lines. And just to make sure that there is not much movement going on in this footage, okay, so there is just a little bit of movement going on here, but otherwise the dog is pretty stationary. Now you can see that here in this node, the Davinci Resolve is actually getting rid of the dog. It is keeping the green areas. And this is exactly opposite of what we are looking for. We want to get rid of the green areas and we want to keep the dog. So to invert this selection, I will press this button called invert. Okay. So when I press that, you see that the selection has been inverted here. And now for the most part, it has been taken care of. Just some minor adjustments are needed. But also you see that there is some green area here, and I could draw a few additional lines in this area. So I can go back for a moment, and I can zoom in by pressing Command plus or Control plus on Windows. And here if I zoom to a different position in the footage, here I need to draw some lines in this region to further refine our selection. And if I invert it, here you see that some of these portions of his mouth are also being removed, and we need to make sure that there is no effect on the dog. Okay, so we can go to minus sign and draw some lines here to tell Davinci that these areas are not to be removed. Okay, and you see the impact right away. Just don't worry about how bad these lines are looking. This is just to make a good selection. Don't worry about these lines. In this area also. So now we seem to have a pretty good selection with no portions of the dog being affected with that. Now it seems to be pretty good. Now also we need to work a little bit on the edges, because otherwise our green screening would look pretty horrible. Now here we have a couple options to further fix these edges, and one of these tools is called Despill, and this is an excellent tool. You can see its impact right away. Now we can further zoom in using Command plus or Control plus on Windows to look at the edges and see what else needs to be fixed. And here you see that we really need to do some work on the edges. If I zoom out a little bit, pan, and maybe move around the footage a little bit to see what's going on here. And to fix these edges, we have some variables here under matte finishing, and we can play around with them to really make these edges look nice. So the first of these variables is denoise. And if I zoom in, you can see that on these edges there is a lot of noise. So to get rid of this noise, we can use this variable denoise. So if I increase it, you can see its effect on the edges right away. We don't want to increase it too much, otherwise it looks very blurry on the edges. So just a little bit where you get rid of the noise. And here, these are the variables that you have to play around with a little bit to get the best results for the edges. And also, not all videos are same, so if one variable is working for one video, it might not work for another video. So you have to do some hit and trial to see what works and what doesn't. Then we have, let me also zoom out. And then we have these variables, clean black and clean white. So we can play around with that. And even if you don't know what these values are actually doing, feel free to play around with them if they make any positive differences to the edges. And if not, you can always go and reset them. Okay. Clean white. Okay, so this seems to be making it better. Not too much, otherwise it will start creating a halo kind of thing on the edges. So this is too much. Maybe we need to decrease it. Maybe around somewhere here. Then we have blur radius, and we can increase it to have some blurring effect on the edges, but don't increase it too much, otherwise it will start cutting off on the edges. So this is looking good. Then the last one is in and out ratio. So this will basically pull the edges inwards or push them outwards to make it look better. So just play around with these values until you have some really nice and clean edges. Let me zoom out to see what we have here. So we can fit it, and also to get rid of these lines, I can turn these tools off. So if I press Command F to make it full screen, this is what we have achieved so far. This is looking pretty neat and clean and natural at the same time. And I can further tweak these values. Let's zoom in. So let's increase the denoise value clean white, I can further increase it. Blurring, there's quite a bit of blurring going on, so let's decrease it a little bit. This looks about right. And in and out ratio, further I can change it. I think this looks good. Press Command F to make it full screen. This is what we have. And if I play it, very neat and clean edges and looking very natural. So that's the basics of doing green screening with Davinci Resolve. I hope you enjoyed this lesson and found it useful. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later. Bye.